Okay, so question 14 then. So the times taken by customer service operators to answer 120 calls, illustrated in the cumulative frequency diagram. And you're asked then, for part A, you're asked to calculate an estimate for the percentage of telephone calls that were answered within 50 seconds. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is read the 50 seconds from our diagram. So I'll rule my line at 50, and then go straight across. Okay, and if you look at the scale, the side, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares between every 20 on the y-axis, the cumulative frequency axis. Okay, so that obviously makes each square worth 4. Now I make that to be just above the line, and so I'm going to call that 45. So what that tells me is that 45 calls were answered within the 50 seconds. Now, I'm asked for a percentage, so that's 45 out of, remember, the 120 phone calls that were answered. So there's your fraction, multiply by 100 to get your percentage. So 45 out of 120 times 100 gives me 37.5%. Okay, and then for part B, I'm going to keep that method. So the customer service team was given a target to answer 80% of the phone calls within 70 seconds. You're asked, did they meet their target? Give a reason and state any assumptions that you've made. So let's go back to your graph then and find out if they did answer 80% of those calls within the time frame. Okay, so we'll go back to your graph and we'll read it 70 seconds. Okay, so at 70 seconds, they answered about 85 phone calls. Okay, so let's work out what that percentage is. So it's 85 out of 120 times 100. Okay, and you can see that they only answered just under 71% of the phone calls within 70 seconds. So we'll just call it 71%. Either way, it's nowhere near the 80 that they were given a target of. So no is my answer. They did not meet their target. It's important at this stage to read every part of the question and make sure that you tick all the boxes of what you're asked for. There's a few things in there. So we've worked out that they answered 71% of the phone calls within 70 seconds. But I'm asked, did they meet their target? Then asked to give a reason and state any assumptions. So let's go through that step by step. So did they meet their target? No. Give a reason. Okay, well the reason is that they only answered 71% of calls. 71% of calls were answered within 70 seconds. Okay, so that's my reason. Now, I haven't stated any assumptions that I've made, so let's go back and look at the graph. Okay, I see cumulative frequency graph. Now, if you look at the way that the lines go and the statements of the lines, you think of your histogram when you're looking at questions and data like this. Okay, you're going to have grouped frequencies. So from 0 to 20 seconds, the line's straight. And then from 20 to 40, there's a different angle on the line, okay? And that's because they're the groups of the grouped frequency. If you think of the group, if you were to draw your grouped frequency table, okay, you would do, from 0 to 20, there were 20, and so on, okay? Now, look at the group from 60 to 80 seconds, okay? Because that's this line here. Now, I've taken 70 seconds as the target, but that group actually goes from 60 seconds to 80 seconds, okay? So by going halfway between that group and assuming assuming if I show you it again, that it's 85 here. What I'm doing is assuming that there's within that group the same number of calls are answered between 60 and 70 seconds as are answered between 70 and 80 seconds. So that's the assumption that I've made. Okay, and to use the statistical terminology, I've assumed an even distribution within that group. Okay, so I need to make sure I make a note of that. I've assumed an even distribution within the group from 60 seconds to 80 seconds. Okay, and there I've met every part of the question it's asking me for. Okay, I've answered did they meet the target, as well as giving a reason and also making sure to state any assumptions that I've made. Okay, and there was quite a big assumption there.